Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Today, you'll get to hear a conversation that I had with a dear friend of mine who has been one of my most amazing transformation partners. This season, we're sharing episodes that relate to different chapters in my book. So, if you're following along, this episode relates to chapter 7, which is called Make Change. In this chapter, I talk about all the things that we may have to change in order to achieve our greatest aspirations, achieve our work goals, and create a personal life that we really enjoy. So I was really hoping and am so glad that you all will get to hear from someone who has helped me to make so many positive changes in my own life, Brittany Payton. Brittany Payton, RDLD, which is Registered Dietitian and Licensed Dietitian, is a woman and friend who is passionate about igniting high-achieving women who shine in their families, their careers, and other areas to no longer just survive, but thrive as we turn from sickness and make an 180-degree change to complete body wellness. She does this through realistic and personalized strategy and intensive support to transform like never before. Through her coaching program, Well Body University, and that's YOU, University, and courses. From an early age, Brittany was intrigued by the influence of her parents who practiced healthy eating as she grew up. That is such a blessing. I love that for her. Brittany earned a Bachelor of Science degree in dietetics from Michigan State University in 2003. She then went on to complete a dietetic internship through New York Institute of Technology to become a registered dietitian. During her college years, she also grew more passionate about fitness, and that led her to become an AFAA certified group fitness instructor and certified personal trainer. She trained clients one-on-one and leads a variety of classes such as HIIT, which is that high intensity interval training, and her very own epic dance party workout called Pop Up Body Rock. And you can see that popping up all around the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the country. Brittany has so many varied experiences. She's had the opportunity to be a part of hospital medical teams, wellness programs, community nutrition programs, as well as her own private practice. She has a passion for what she does, and you're going to see that in this conversation. And she specializes in diabetes management, weight management, cardiovascular health, and gastrointestinal disorders, which are so common and challenging, and she knows how to work with all of those. Her goal is to help high-achieving women to love themselves into optimal health and fitness through her coaching program and courses. This is such a fun conversation because you're going to see that Brittany is just a light. The strategies that she taught me to make changes in my own personal health and wellness will work in those areas for you, but they'll also work in your career, your relationships, and any other area where you want to make change. So thank you all so much for joining. You're going to love this conversation and enjoy.
Now available. You deserve to love your job. How to find your purpose and enjoy your life. You may not have learned this growing up, but you deserve to love your job. You will spend more time at work than in any other activity in your life, and you deserve to love it. Research tells us that people who love their work are twice as likely to enjoy their life. This book will help you create a blueprint to help you fulfill your purpose, love your job, and live the life you were designed to live. Now available at Amazon.
Thank you all so much for joining today's episode. Today, you all are in for a treat because today you get to meet one of my very favorite people, one of my best transformation partners. Listen, Brittany has helped me make so many positive changes in my health. Brittany, you know this, I'm physically, but also my mindset around health, that it's crazy. I can't count the number of times that either we were on the phone or I was like reading a text message or listening to one of your voice memos and my mouth was open like, wow. I hadn't thought about it that way. That makes so much sense, but really just helped me reframe kind of my thinking about health and make changes that I really up till then hadn't been able to make. So I can't thank you enough, first of all. And second, again, from an audience perspective, you all are in for a treat. So welcome, Brittany, to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. And let me tell you, it's my absolute pleasure to hear you talk about your transformation, but see all of your progress and just see you sustaining it and keeping up with it. So I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be part of your transformation journey.
You absolutely have been. And I thought about that. I mean, even after we stopped kind of working together week after week, like I feel like I've still made progress, like continue to
Mm-hmm.
transform, continue to make progress. And a lot of that is because I think some of what we did together around habits and mindset and all those kind of things. So I'm excited for people to learn this because there's, I don't know, so many people are struggling with health goals. And also I talk, with a lot of people struggling with career goals and just making the changes that maybe they know they want to make or should make, but are struggling making them. So
Mm-hmm.
my first question, I was curious because one thing I found when we were working together was that a lot of what you were teaching me from a health standpoint around making change also applied to a lot of other areas. Like there was a lot of spillover, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think one time I was like my health person and my marriage counselor. Like it was like the things I was changing in one area were also helping me in other areas of my life. So I'm curious, do you see that as common across your clients? And like, what do you think that is, or why do you think that is?
Totally. It's funny. One of my very first coaches told me how you do anything is how you do everything. And I thought that was like, no, I don't think so. And then it started happening to me. And I was like, oh, okay. So like in business and then in nutrition and then in marriage and then, in relationships. And it's like in money and everything. It's like, oh my God, all this stuff is related because a lot of it is discipline and discipline related. So yeah, I totally find that happens all the time where it's like, okay, so we get started here and then we just keep going and it kind of bleeds through. So that's
Mhm.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely have found that it applies pretty broadly. So when you're working with people, like what do you think gets in the way of us making the changes we want to make? So, again, maybe I have a career change or health change in the areas that you work in, diet change, want to get off meds, or, a lot of the things you work on. What do you think gets in the way of us making the kind of changes we want to make?
Oh,
A
I think
lot.
it's so many things. Right. Exactly. It's so many things.
Yeah.
Number one, it's a lot of things that happen. But I think one of the biggest things that really gets in the way is making it hard. But the thing is trying to change your activity. Okay, I'm going to work out more. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to do these things. And that's what I'm going to do. Like, and that's the changes that you make, but you don't change what's happening in between your ears. And so
Mhm.
your mindset stays the same. So yeah, I'm working out. I got this gym membership. I got these new clothes that I'm working out in. I feel really cute. I got a refrigerator full of fresh veggies and fruits. And then what happens? Then you fall off track because the same life keeps happening. And your mindset of how you usually interact and react to those things still happens. And so, you try to say, okay, well, let's make it harder. And you try to alter those other things and make it more difficult. And I got to make it more challenging. And no, you just have to change your mindset. If you change here, everything else will follow. And I think that's the thing that most people don't get. And that's what happens a lot of times when people work with maybe a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer alone. I've been a dietitian alone. But when you take all three, dietitian, personal trainer, and mindset coach, and you put it all together and sandwich it all together, that's when the magic happens. That's when I've seen people get the most change and transformation in their life. And so it's really getting into that place of changing your mindset. So that way you can get rid of the stinking thinking, erase all that junk that you've been thinking before, and then
Mhm.
get to the place where you're like, oh, okay, now I've got my new beliefs. And that's the big thing. Like challenge, not being afraid to challenge your current beliefs. I
Mhm.
think we did that a lot, right? Challenge your current beliefs, right? Right? You were like, no, I'm going to do this. This is what I've always thought. And then it's like, no, no, maybe we're going to do it different. Like, does that still work for you? Is that really realistic? Does that make sense? Is it just something you've always said and you stuck to, or something you've believed and you're just sticking with it? Like a great example is when, I imagine most people have heard maybe their grandmother say, don't go outside after taking a shower because you're going to get a cold. Well, a cold is a virus. But if you don't think about that and you don't have that knowledge or that education, that information, you're thinking that's true when it's really not. And it's like, no, I'm just going outside and I'm getting cold and I'm wet. So it makes it
Mhm.
worse,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
So it's differences of knowing the truth and what's not true, and then changing your mindset to align with the truth. So that way your actions and your body can go along with it.
That makes so much sense. And the ease in that, I think, is what surprised me
Right?
around when you change your mindset, the ease it brings to doing the other things, because now you
Oh
think
yeah.
about it different as opposed to trying
Uh-huh.
to, which I think explains why so many, and I will say so many programs I've done
Mm-hmm.
before didn't work, was because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't addressing the mindset. It was just the things like, let me try to eat less carbs, or let me try to, those things. And so you're trying to muscle through it without a different mindset. And it just never worked, or at least never sustained, even
Yeah.
if it worked for a little while. Um, yeah, because I'm thinking about one mindset shift that you helped me make that I think is still like relevant even on my desk, which is I think I had this mindset. I don't remember how I would have said it to myself, but I had this mindset around like work till it's done. And
Mm.
which is not a bad thing. I could
No.
justify that per se, but the way I was expressing it was like work, 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 work till everything's done.
Everything's
So
done.
that means if I was
Nothing
hungry,
else
if
matters.
I was thirsty, if I
Right.
needed to go to the bathroom, like all that was out the window because I was working till it was done.
Right. Exactly.
And
None
you're
of that
like,
matters.
you're like,
Right.
is that working for you? Is that good for you? And so like even just having water with me and drinking during meetings and like having this more balanced way of taking care of myself throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to muscle through something. Like that was a mindset shift that I was like, oh, that actually makes a lot of
Ah,
sense.
right.
Drinking when you're
Right.
thirsty and eating when you're hungry makes a lot of sense, actually. But that was one of
Yeah.
those things that I think had I not changed my mind on it, it would have been hard to just drink more water, you know?
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Yes. That whole hustle culture. Look, I'll drink to that with you. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's like that whole hustle culture of
Yeah.
push, 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 produce, 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 go, 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 do, do, do. And it's never care for yourself. Like, I think God sets certain things up so we can slow down. Like, okay, I have to be hydrated. So I must drink water. But guess what? At some point, this water's got to leave. So that means I'm going to have to take a bathroom break. So that means I can't work all day. It's like God sets these things up so you can take a break. You're going to get hungry midday at some point while you're working. Oh, hopefully, and if you obey that, boom, you're going to have a lunch break. Then you can have a
Mhm.
brain break so you can come back and be more productive. So I think we oftentimes ignore the things that are automatically set up
Mm.
for us to succeed and be really and truly productive because we get caught up in the hustle. We get caught up in the
Yes.
culture.
Oh, I know I have been. Yeah. So I love the mindset approach. Like, what do you see? Like when you've seen clients, so kind of think about what gets in our way. When you've seen clients that really transform, like
Mhm.
they make major changes, you're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of them. Are there common characteristics you see for people that are able to, really transform their lives?
Yes. So people who really and truly want to transform their life, I find that usually it starts off they are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like
Mm.
it's more than, oh, I just want to lose a little bit of weight, I want to look cute, I want to fit better in my jeans. Because like when it comes down to it, our super busy lives, that doesn't really hold a lot of weight. So when it comes down to it, it's like, okay, so I don't want to be sick, I don't want to have diabetes, I don't want to have headaches, I don't want to have hypertension, I don't want to take a bunch of medication and be a part of the orange bottle club that grandma was a part of, where it's all the orange bottles on the nightstand table,
Listen. Mhm, mhm.
so it becomes more serious. And I find that that's a thing that is like, oh, okay, wait a minute, I'm getting a little too far gone. And I feel like that's what really
Mhm.
is the changing point for people. People are like, oh my God, I really gotta do something, because this is not a game anymore. It's not just me buying bigger clothes, but it's me not being here for the people I'm working so hard for,
Mhm.
or not enjoying life like I want to. Or I'm working hard for all this money and I can't even get on a plane comfortably, go on a vacation and put on a swimsuit and feel confident about myself.
Mhm.
Like that sucks. That sucks to live a whole life and work so hard to not be able to enjoy it, or die before you're able to enjoy it. Like that
Mhm.
sucks. And I think that's when people start saying, okay, that's the thing. So getting sick, being sick and tired of really and truly being sick and tired, I think is the thing that's like, oh, okay, I got to make
Mhm.
some change. And they get some warning signs and some taps on the shoulder and some red flags waving.
Yes.
It's like, hey, let's get on it. Let's take care of you. Let's do it, you know? So yeah.
That makes sense to me because I think about we see how busy our lives are. We probably won't prioritize a nice to do.
No.
Like if it's like, I'd like those jeans to fit differently, but that's your only motivation. It's
right.
Like, is that really going to make me
transform?
Right.
Absolutely
Probably
not.
not.
So yeah, that's one of the big things too. Like with the mindset stuff that I work on with my clients, we've done this, and you get down to the why. What is your why? What is your real root why? And I think that's a lot of issue as to what happens with like healthcare and even just working with like other professionals and stuff. In a lot of ways, you find you're just working on the surface stuff. When you just work with the surface stuff, you get surface results, and then you pop off the train and you're like, I'm over it. But then when you go deep and you realize, okay, this is important to me. Why? Because, I know that God has gifted me to do X, Y, and Z. And in order for me to do that, I got to not have myself in the doctor's office all the time and taking a bunch of medication and this, that, and the other. And I have to be a good example. And for my family, and I want to do things different. And I don't like the way that all those things. It's like, it's like, okay, I'm down to more of a root cause. So then it makes it more of a realistic thing to say, okay, now I'm going to push through all the noise and get to taking care of me. Because if you think about it, and like my target range of people that I generally work with is women between like 30 and like 50, 30 and 60 maybe. Okay. What's happening during that time? Kids going to school, kids are, growing up and going through the changes of life. You're growing up and going through the changes of life. So, we're not in our 20s anymore. We're in our 30s. Our bodies are changing. Things are happening. We're going to doctor's visits. They're checking different things. We're getting mammograms and doing all kinds of other stuff. And we're married, or if you're not married, you're trying to find a boo or get a boo or keep a boo. Or do all the above if you are married. I don't know if you are trying to keep your boo and make sure he's happy and all things are good. And so with all of that, like you got all those things you're trying to make sure at your job or you're in your career, you are constantly, getting better, taking better care of, what you've been given to steward in your career and your job or for the clients that you serve. So you got all these things going on, and it's like, okay, so, and then your parents are changing. Don't forget that, your parents are getting older. And so we're taking different kind of care of them. They're becoming the kids. We're becoming the parents. There's a different level of care that goes in there and other things going on. And we haven't even touched the other stuff that's happening. Okay. So all that stuff is going on. It's so easy to say, I'll do me tomorrow. I'll do me tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll work out. Tomorrow I'll get some healthier food. Tomorrow, no, you got to do it today, but you need a real good root cause that's going to get down to the nitty gritty and say, okay, now why? Why are you going to do this now? Why is this important now? What are you trying to work on and work towards? And so when we get down into that, that's when change starts happening. That's when you're like, oh, and then when you move all that health stuff out of the way, you're like, oh, now I can really work on purpose. Because I'm not sick anymore. I'm not living in a doctor's office. I'm not taking days off like I used to. I can really and truly be productive and serve the world in the way that it was intended for me to serve, and so that's awesome. That's amazing.
Oh,
and that's freedom.
The why. Oh my goodness. Getting to the why that's deep enough to cause you to do something different, to really transform. I mean, I find that in career conversations as well. It's like, so why do you want to go about this differently? Like, what's driving you in this for real? Like, what's your personal why? And I even keep on my phone now from a health perspective, like my whys from art. And I'm always adding to them. I'm editing them. I'm always thinking about, okay, what are my next short-term goals? Like, but that, so you have to kind of go back to that from time to time, from health, career, other things like, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I devoting this time? And am I aligned with that why? Is the rest of my life aligned with that why? That is
right.
Yeah, that is everything. I agree with that.
Yeah. That's the thing that really is going to bring the discipline for you to become a disciple of the change. So it brings that discipline in there. And so that way you're like, okay, I'm studying this. I'm working on this. I'm doing this. I'm going headlong into it. And I'm saying, all right, this is what I want. And you're doing it,
Ooh, discipline.
Right?
I've just really fully gotten into that word the last probably few years. I think I knew it in certain contexts before, but when you want to do something really different, it forces you to kind of go a little deeper in that space. So that's been helpful for you. So let me ask you this then, let's say someone has their why, like maybe it is what you're saying, it's the medication, it's the life they want to live, whatever it might be. Where do people start, do you think, in making big change in their life? Like, maybe you have a big why and you're like, you know what, this is important to me. Like, how do you even get started on changes that may seem, really big?
Okay. So a lot of times people want to start with the small stuff. And I think that's where you get messed up. Start with the biggest thing that keeps you up at night, that every time you walk past the mirror, you're yelling at yourself, you're angry about, you cry when nobody's looking, start with that thing. So if you mad that your table, every time you get ready to make, dinner at the dining room table, if the table is wobbly and you're about to lose your dinner every time, well, guess what? You shouldn't be in the front kitchen or in the front bathroom that you never go into patching up the scratches on the wall. No, you need to be handling that big problem. And I think that's one thing, is that a lot of times we say, you know what, I'd rather handle something else because it's easier, and instead of handling this. And so people a lot of times shy away from handling the big thing. And so the big thing is handle the big thing, eat the elephant. Okay, how do you do it? One bite at a time. But find out what's the biggest, most glaring, loudest, craziest issue. If your issue is, hey, I eat candy all day, every day, okay, instead of eating food, okay, let's talk about that. What's the real reason as to why? I know, yes, obviously you love candy, but what is really going on as to why? And so is it that you just never do grocery shopping? You really like healthy food, but you never do grocery shopping, and candy's right there, and you need to eat, and your blood sugar gets low, and so your headaches happen, and then you're like, I'm gonna have a sucker, I'm gonna have some Skittles, I'm gonna have a Snickers, and so these things are there. So, but the thing is, if you have food available, you'd be more than likely to go in the kitchen, get what you have prepped and ready to go, eat that, and be sustained by that, and feel that kind of energy and productivity in your body, as opposed to the other thing. So it's handling the glaring issues. What's the big thing? Don't ignore the big thing. And a lot of times that's what people do. They try to, and in the Bible, it talks about this too, how people try to, instead of handling the things that are wrong, okay, let's handle those things. You just try to put more right on top of it. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna keep handling the things, and I'm gonna just go ahead and put some right on top of it. So it's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna eat a carrot and a sucker, like.
Listen, we probably all done that.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. Life. So let me go get me some broccoli for dinner or something. It's like, yeah.
Oh, so you want to get rid of those big things that trip you up first. Big things that trip you up first. And so it's like really changing your environment so that way you can produce. If you are an alcoholic, the biggest thing that you don't want to do is what? Go to the bar and then have a 50-50 chance of you drinking. And then when you do, you're mad at yourself. Okay, you got to set your environment up for you to be successful, give you those tools, put you in an environment that is giving success as opposed to giving failure, And so the thing is, you got to set yourself up for those successes by getting your environment right. And sometimes that means excluding some people out of your time for your journey, during your journey, some, activities, some people, is cleaning some stuff out of your fridge and your pantry and things like that, having some conversations for some boundaries with people to say, hey, this is what we do, here in this house, this is what we don't do, let's make this a no junk zone. Let's do this. Let's put on the junk food only in this area because I don't want to see it out and touching everything. Things like that, are really and truly helpful when you can set yourself up for success. So you got to set yourself up, but handle the big issue, and then figure out, instead of just putting some good on top of it, I'm gonna have a salad and all the candy, how do we cut the candy out first? Let's cut that down. And that's just one small example, but you get where we're going here. Sometimes you got to cut out the junk that you're doing, if it's the meal skipping, if it's the overeating, if it's the snacking at night, if it's the, whatever it is. And a lot of times we just try to throw a workout over it. Just gonna throw a workout over it. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna work this out. No, you're not. You're not.
No, you're not.
Okay.
No, you're
right.
not.
No, you're not. You're gonna work yourself to death, but you're not gonna work this out. Okay. So you gotta know the difference. You gotta be okay with the difference. So the thing is just getting to that place where you're like, all right, this is what we're doing. and let's dig into it and go with it.
Yeah. And I could see the thing I love about that is that when you work on the big thing, then you see results in an area that's important to you. And that's really motivational.
Yeah.
Once you start seeing change in the thing that's most important to you,
then
it makes more change worth it. It's like,
yeah.
This is really making a change. But when you work on the little things, to your point, even if it's a change, it's not going to have the impact you really want it to have. It doesn't have the result. So it's not motivational. It's easy to walk away from it because you don't see the results you want anyway. So figuring out the big thing and being willing to tackle it, even if it's not the easy thing.
Yeah.
Because it probably isn't the easy thing. That's why it is
usually not but it's the thing that bothers you, keeps you up at night, frustrates you, makes you angry, makes you sad, changes your whole mood. Like, that's the stuff you got to work on, because when you see that change, you're like, oh shoot, let me see, exactly. I got a little power.
Okay, with the shoulder shake.
Right? Exactly. You're hitting them with the shoulders, man, right? You're ready to go. Let's go. You're ready. So that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, results are exciting and results are motivational. So I totally agree that. Yeah, I was thinking about some big areas of my own life that I've focused on and how much of a difference it makes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then focusing on those systems, focus on those systems, get it in, get it going, and staying consistent. It's like we talked about that discipline, becoming a disciple of the discipline, so you can get those systems done. That's everything. That's everything.
And you know what I found? This made me so happy the other day. So, this consistency, this aspect of consistency, which you and I talked about a lot, but what I found is the more consistent you are, other people start to help you in that. So that has been a surprise to me. So when, one time, like for a gift one time, Kelvin, my husband, who, Kelvin gave me a gift card, and it was for workout clothes. Like, he was like, oh, I know you love to work out, so here's a gift card for workout clothes. I was like, I love to work out.
Right.
That shows the
that's who I am to you now.
Right. Exactly. I was like, oh, identity. I'm a workout person now. Like, that was surprising to me. Or I was at like a church dinner one time, and I was going through the line there, putting food on my plate. And a friend of mine was like, don't put those potatoes on. She's not eating that. I was like, you think I eat healthy?
You think I eat healthy? Right. Exactly. I don't want that junk on my plate. Right. Not that we don't eat carbs, but those potatoes look a little, right?
They didn't look good. Too much cheese. And I was like, oh, that's not for me. So just her, but that just showed that there's been a level of consistency. And so when you are, other people kind of start to support you in that and help you in that more so than it becomes your identity. And that really drives, I don't know, that kind of keeps you consistent, because now that's just who you are. Yeah, it's like, I'm not trying to do something. This is just, just who I am. So big things make a big difference. Yeah.
That's everything. I'm always talking to people about, like, how to lead your family into change. I mean, you've done this, you know what this looks like. But the thing is, you can't lead your family into change if you're not a leader. If you're not a leader, you can't lead anybody to change. And so the thing is, you have to remember, the first person you have to lead is yourself. And so if you can't lead yourself, nobody else is going to follow you, because you're not a leader in that area specifically. So the thing is to lead yourself, become disciplined enough and strategic enough and systematic enough to follow through consistently for yourself. People are always watching. They are always watching. Your family's always watching. Your friends, coworkers, business partners, clients, everybody's always watching. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it, and some people, they might have a little, why are you doing that? What's going on? Sometimes, so you find, sometimes you get some critics, but the thing is, that lets you know, even though they're criticizing, they're watching. And so the thing is, that's why it's so important to have a community around you that's like, okay, we're doing this, we're going, you got support, let's go, let's keep going, because you got to keep going. And sometimes you need some help because you're holding it up by yourself and you're like, this is hard. It gets to be a lot. But once you do it over and over again, that cognitive dissonance goes away that we were talking about in the beginning, where you're like, okay, I'm going to do, but I don't stick to it. Okay. That when that goes away, what happens? Oh, shoot, I'm sticking with it. Everybody else sees that about me, and I'm identifying as someone new, and you're creating your new identity. which is everything. That's
It
awesome.
is. That's really surprising. Those have been surprising to me, like, because you're kind of working for yourself, and
Yeah.
to your point about other people watching, I don't know if I realize that as much, but every now and then something will happen, and I'm like, oh,
Oh, right.
well, paying
Oh,
attention,
right.
like that's, it just reminds you, which I love. That's also motivational, kind of motivation for the journey. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
That's
what
awesome.
would you say if someone has, and I was in this place when we started working together, like they've tried a lot of things, but they've, fallen off the wagon. And sometimes you just get discouraged. You start to think, this just isn't for me, or,
Hmm.
but when you're working with someone who's maybe fallen off or, the wagon a lot and they're trying to get back on, what do you say for people that are in that situation? Like, what would you recommend? How do you get back on, in terms of get back refocused or accomplishing what it is you want to accomplish?
So usually the first thing I'll do is I'll have them go through, okay, so what are all the things that you've done before? So we go through all the list of things that you've done before. And usually it's a list for most people. They've
Mhm.
tried different diet plans. They've worked with this trainer. They've done this. They've done that. They did the trendy diet over here. They've done the keto, the intermittent fasting, the everything. They've done it all, right?
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, so let's look at all of those. Now let's look at the common thread. What's the common thread that you were not able, you didn't want to do it, and
Mhm.
you don't want to keep doing it, so like if somebody tells you, especially if you love carbs, hey, we're going to do this keto and you're not going to have any carbs, you're going to have about 15 grams a day, you're going to be looking at them a little sideways, especially if you're thinking that this is going to get me to where I got to go. You're not thinking like, I want to do this forever. That means I
Mhm.
can't have the things that I love forever. So I have to show them that what you've done before, this is where it all fits in, this is where all those things align, and so this is going to be completely different.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, is that most of the time my clients, and I think you definitely have said it too, that I didn't think it was going to be this easy. Like, this is all we're doing. Like, I'm not cutting everything out that I like. I can still have things that I want. I can enjoy life a bit. Yeah, you can
Mhm.
totally do those things. And
Mhm.
so it's just the fact of showing them it's different, and showing them where they've gone wrong before, and how ultimately diets and diet plans oftentimes are punishment. I'm a non-diet dietitian, so this is odd for a lot of people. So diets are generally punishment. And if you are a kid or you've been a kid, you have kids, whatever it is, okay, you
Mhm.
know that nobody likes punishment. So if you sign yourself up for punishment, and then after a while you're like, all right, we're gonna start liking this, and then you get mad at yourself because you don't start liking it, something's a little crazy, right? Something's a
Right.
little crazy. Something's a little off ski there. It doesn't really add
Mhm.
up. And so the thing is, you got to remember those things were punishment. You were trying to punish yourself by taking away this, taking away that, working extra hard, doing. I've seen people do 2 and 3 workouts a day because they're trying to work their weight down to a certain level before this event. And it's like, really? Is this what you really want to do? Is this what you want to keep up with? Do you have time, energy, or effort to do this? Does this align with who you are as a person? And if it
Mhm.
doesn't, you're not going to keep doing it because it doesn't speak to you. It doesn't resonate with you.
Mhm.
And the big thing is, I'm trying to help, or I help people make lifelong change, sustainable change. You see how you're talking that you've made change, but you've maintained the change. Number
Mhm.
one. Number two, you're continuing on because now you've got the steps and the everything that you need to kind of keep that tenacity up and say, okay, this awareness. All right, where am I? What's going on? Where do I need to go next? What's going on? Where am I putting my foot next? You're aware of that. And so you keep going,
Mhm.
and so that's what you want to do instead of a temporary quick fix that's
Yeah.
going to lead you to nowhere fast. And then you feel like, instead of feeling like, oh, it's punishment, but something's wrong with me because I don't like punishment. A lot of people do the diets and they do all this stuff and they work really, really hard. And they're like, it's not working. And they punish themselves. They're looking at themselves like, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. We're not
Mhm.
supposed to like punishment. It's just
Right.
not the way it's set up. We're not
Mhm.
supposed to like it, and it doesn't teach the way it's
Mhm.
supposed to a lot of times. So you got to change your mindset. And this is where that challenge comes in, where we're challenging and changing those mindsets and doing it different.
Mm. Cheers to that. Let me try that.
Right? Sip again. I like
Cheers
that,
to
right?
sustainable change. I mean, and that
Right?
is a different way of thinking about change. I think a lot of times we do think in short term, I want to do something. What can I do for the next 3 months to get to my
Right.
goal? And I found that in leadership coaching as well. It's like, maybe I want to get to the next promotion or whatever it might be. So I'm willing to do something really different for the next 3 months. And it's like, no, like, what are you willing to do different for the rest of your life? Like,
Yes.
that's the question. If you want to make this change, what are you willing to do different for the rest of your life? And that makes
Yeah.
you think differently about how, to your point, how does this align with who I am as a person, how I want to
Hmm.
live my life? Like, it makes you be, I think, more discerning, or even maybe more critical of like which changes I need to make. It's not like I'm going to take
Yeah.
any change, like, oh, I'll do that or I'll do that. It's like, no, like, what
Mm.
changes are you willing to make for the rest of your life? That is a very different question than what am I willing to do to get ready for, this wedding in August.
Yeah.
those,
Right.
those are really different. And so I agree with you. I did a lot of what am I willing to do to get ready for this wedding in August type changes before.
Hmm. Yeah.
When August came, after August, it was like, phew,
Woo. Right. And chances are you didn't get to exactly where you wanted to go for August.
didn't
And
get there
guess
anyway.
what? Guess what? You were already invited to the wedding, right? You're already a friend. You're already on the guest list. Like, we're not trying to look good enough to get on the guest list. Like, they already like you. You don't have to make them like you more by
Right.
looking a certain way. Go enjoy yourself. And like, we even talked about that, like, for these social events, let it be a social event. That's what you're there for. Have fun. Stop
Right.
focusing on how I look when I'm there. Like, because most people are not, girl, did you see what size she was? Did you look in the back of her dress and see what size dress she was wearing?
Right.
No one is looking at that. People are dancing and having fun and enjoying themselves and looking at the bride and groom or whatever's going on and enjoying themselves. And it's
Mhm.
like, huh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the difference between systems, and goals.
Yeah.
Goals, you go so you can hit it. And then after you hit it, all right, we're done. Now what? I don't know. But when you make systems and you make systematic change, systems are going to allow you to do something and it sets you up that, okay, we're going to do this every day, or we're going to do this 3 times a week, or we're going to do this however many times a week. And we have those things set up. I love that book, Atomic Habits. It talks about, having your system set up as opposed to goals, because goals, once they're done, they're done. And then you
Mhm.
go back to doing what you were doing before, which wasn't serving you, you
Wasn't
know?
serving. And to your point, half the time you don't meet them anyway because you're not really committed to it because it's short term.
Yeah.
It's not something
Uh-huh.
meaningful. And I think that's a huge focus for everyone, is to think about your not just your goals, but what are your systems that you're willing to change to have this, long-term change for the rest of your life, not what am I trying to
Yeah.
do for the wedding in August. And to your point, you are already invited. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
So I'm telling you right now, if you're planning for that wedding in August, like, do
Right.
it
You're
different.
already there.
Do it
Like,
different. Do it
right.
different.
I love it when brides are like, okay, I want to lose like 20, 30 pounds for my wedding. I'm like, honey, he already proposed to you at the size that you are at. He already loves you. You don't have to sign up for the love,
Right.
by losing weight. The thing is, you got to love yourself enough right here, right now, and know that you're not better because you lost 20 pounds and you look like somebody else, but you're the same person. And I think as women, we constantly are devaluing ourselves by our size, our image, and comparing ourselves to others. And it's like, no, you're good enough right now, but you need to know you're good enough. You need to love yourself enough right
Mhm.
now. And if you love yourself now, it'll make it easier for you to love yourself to where you want to go and get those
Yeah.
outcomes that you're looking for.
And love other people around you. It just
Right?
brings a peace and a freedom that, you don't have when you're focused on the other. I really needed you in 1997 when I was preparing for my wedding. 'Cause let me tell you, I was
Right?
not doing it the right way at
Right.
all. So
You were
it's like,
like, oh my
no, you
God,
need
right?
to change this.
I love
But
it.
I'm glad I have you now. I didn't have you then, but I'm glad I have you
Yeah.
now.
Right. You had to
Oh,
go through.
that's good. That's so
Yeah.
good, Brittany. So let me ask you this. So how could people, if people want to learn more about the services you offer, like how they can work with you, I'll put your link in our show notes, but just in general, like how, if someone is interested in working with you personally, like how might they do that, or what would you want them to know?
Okay, so it's a couple ways. So one way, like if you want to get started, like meal planning, I find it's one of the most difficult things that people have to do. All right, and they feel like, oh my God, this is so hard and it's overwhelming. And you get started, you get the containers, you get the food, and then you get off track and then you get in the drive-through line. So, you don't know how to do it, right? You don't know how to do it. And so you need to know how to do it. So I have my 4-step meal prep course that is super easy. It shows you how to break down meal prep into 4 steps, 4 easy steps that if you follow it, you will have meals on the table that you are excited about, that are delicious, and that you will enjoy in a timely manner all throughout the week. Okay. And so that's one great thing. So 4stepmealprep.com, you can go there and get the course. It's only $97. Okay. And that can get you started. But here's the big thing. Okay. That's to get you started. But I love to work with people and really take them through the transformation like I did with you, Arlene. And that's when people really see the change. Have somebody walk with them that really understands what they need to go through. All right. And then gives them a community that's around them to help them get to where they got to go, and then allows them to get there. So I've got my 1-year program. My 1-year group coaching program is called Well Body University. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. So you want to get in that program, okay? And then that way I'll be able to coach you, and you'll have support around you, and then you'll really and truly be able to get to your goals. And so if you want to see how this program works, what you want to do is you want to go to get 180 Well, GET, the number 180 Well. So get180well.com. So if you go there, you'll be able to see all about the program, get some idea of exactly how what it entails, see some amazing testimonials, one of which is Arlene, all right, that's on the page. And then also too, you'll be able to schedule a discovery call, a completely free discovery call with me. So that way we can discuss exactly what your needs are and how I can help you. And so that way we can get those barriers out of the way and get you to your results that you want to achieve. So those are the big ways. And then also you can always, follow me on social media, The Honest RD on Instagram, on Facebook. They'll put the information down there, but I'm Brittany Payton on Facebook. Okay. And I'm always putting out content on YouTube. Okay. The 180 Well. All right. And then also I have a podcast as well, which is called Let's Be Honest with the Honest RD, that is found on Spotify and Apple Music. So you've got those ways that you can connect with me and get more information, some more amazing information, so that way you can jumpstart your journey. And if you're ready to go all the way, let's get you into the Well Body University and make sure that you're a good fit.
I love that. I'm telling you, all get connected. And the fact that I love the Honest RD, because we had so many honest conversations.
Right?
I think that's what you need. I think that's what you need to transform. And I know even my own clients, like one of the things I'll ask them, like, how can I be most helpful to you? And one of the things they often tell me is, I need you to be honest with me. Like, if you see that my mindset or my approach isn't like what you think is going to be effective based on what you know, I need you to let me know, because we don't get that a lot. And especially about our health and wellness, it can be such a touchy subject for people that people don't want to give you there, but you don't really necessarily get into all these deep, honest conversations. But I feel like every time we're together and all the information you provide is like, let's be honest about what's going on, so we can really make some real change.
Get in there, right?
Yeah, so
exactly.
The Honest RD. I love that. I love that name. So, okay, good. So thank you for sharing that. We'll put all the information in the show notes. And before you leave, though, I want to do a lightning round, which is just designed to help people get to know you better. So just quick answers to the questions, just, people to get to know who you are a little better. So
okay.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The first one is, what is one thing that helped you figure out what you wanted to do for a job and career? And I really wanted to hear this from you, because one of my mentor's friends, Dr. Rachel Talton, talks about something as like a God job, meaning there are certain jobs that we're doing that God called us to do. And I feel like our work together, I'm like, Brittany's in her God job. Like, so what is one thing that helped you figure that out? Like what you wanted to do for a job and career?
Well, it's funny because I used to think I wanted to be a doctor. And then I started doing some internships in hospitals when I was like in my high school and early college years. And I was like, I don't want to be a doctor, because I don't want to help. Not that I don't want to help sick people, but I want to help them not get sick. I want to do more of the preventive care, and I want to make sure they get well and stay well. So I want to get them in the place before they get to the hospital, where it's so hard to make change because nobody told them anything, or people just let things go so far. I want to get them before they get there, so that way the hospital is not an option. So I knew I wanted to do preventive care, and I wanted to see people do well, and I wanted to see the results, because a lot of times at a hospital, you treat the person, you might never see them again, but I want to see the work through, and I want to make sure I'm able to be there and support. And so that's one thing. Another thing is that I went to a college career thing, and she asked me a bunch of questions, and I was like, oh, she's a crock. And I was like, and she said, take nutrition 101. Just trust me. I took it, and I was like, oh, I love nutrition. And so like, it was everything for me. It was everything for me. So that's why. And then as I kept doing, I was like, oh shoot, this is my ministry as well. Like you said, it's my God job. So I'm like, oh wow, this is what God wants me to do, and I'm able to do so many things through it and help you in so many different ways. So yeah,
I love it. And that aligns with even what the research says, is that people that find their ministry, their calling, they've done a few things to get there. Like they've intentionally tried to figure it out, whether it's the internship or being willing to stop at the career fair and, be willing to take this nutrition 101 class. Like you have to kind of engage with it to kind of, get yourself to where you're supposed to be. So I love that you're willing to do some things to try to figure it out, to kind of get you where, where God really wants you to be. So I love that. So what's one thing you consistently do to enjoy your life? Like, what's just something you do?
Oh, one thing. See, okay, my husband, first off, I'm just going to preface this by saying my husband always laughs, because if he asks me, can you tell me one thing? I'm always like, oh, but I've got three. So
okay.
Picking the one thing is rough, but I would say laughing, just finding funny and humor in anything that I possibly can. Like finding laughter is everything. So being able to laugh, whether it's laugh at yourself, laugh at situations, laugh at life, just being able to laugh. I love comedy and watching comedy and going to comedy shows and all that kind of stuff. So like laughter is something that always happens here at the house. Like we are ultra silly and just fun. It's just fun. My second runner-up will be dance, but I won't go into it. Had to sneak it in.
I was going to say, you said you wouldn't, but you did though. So.
Right? Trying not to, but I couldn't. Right?
Yes. Yeah, but I can see the joy in that, and you have a lot of joy in your presence. So I could absolutely see that. Okay, and then the last question: what's one word of wisdom? And this is a one question again, I realize. But what's one word of wisdom or piece of advice you live by? Like just one piece of wisdom or advice or a saying, something that you try to live by.
Okay. Take every opportunity. So if it's an opportunity that serves you and serves your purpose and what you're doing, and it goes the direction that you're supposed to be going, take those opportunities. Stop being scared. Stop freaking out. Stop second guessing yourself. Just take them. Take those opportunities and move forward in it. And but if it doesn't align, obviously don't take that opportunity, because it's not an opportunity. But if it's something that causes you to take action to be aligned and in line with what God wants you to do, and moving forward in that, take those opportunities and don't delay.
Don't delay. Don't second guess yourself. Don't operate out of fear.
Immediate obedience is something I'm being beat up with right now. So yes, I'm working on that one. So
immediate obedience. That's discipline at a whole nother level.
Right? Hold on to your seats, right?
That's discipline at a whole other level. So first of all, thank you so much for all you've been in my life. And I'll say my family's life. I tell people all the time, Kelvin feels like he knows you because I use your name so much. Brittany told me.
Right? Exactly.
For all the transformation you do for me. And I know for others an area that could not be any more important to us, our health and our wellness and how we're living our lives. So thank you so much. You all have to connect with Brittany. We'll put all her information in the show notes so you can connect with her in some way. And thank you all so much for joining. So you can always find me online on Instagram at Arlene_Pace_Green. I look forward to connecting with you. And like I like to end the show, be well.